Hi everyone, today we're going to be concentrating on storytelling. So when it comes to storytelling, we've got to remember all the elements of a story. So first of all, you have got the parts of a story: the beginning, the middle, and the end. So the beginning, the middle, and the end. It's a bit like a sandwich. The beginning and the end are like the two pieces of bread. Now you've got to make sure that your bread is nice and fresh and tasty. If it is stale and old, people are not going to want to eat that sandwich. So in the same way, your beginning and your end of the story need to be fresh and exciting. You can't have stale, old, tiresome ways of telling a story at the beginning and the end, otherwise people aren't going to really want to listen to your story. So let's try and get away from once upon a time, okay, and at the end, and they all lived happily ever after. All of us know those beginnings, so you're going to try and think of a better way to start your story. Then the middle section of the story is like your sandwich. It's the juicy bits in the middle. Now in the juicy bits in the middle, that's where you're going to say what exactly happened. So it should be the exciting part of the story, the yummy bits of the story. So when you come to that part of the story, you should be really using a lot of expression and trying to get the audience to really enjoy what you are telling them. Now remember, in a story, some of the other elements of the story, you have characters. Now characters are the people that are in your story. Sometimes it might not be people that are in your story. They could be animals that are in your story, like the little brown rabbit. Or it could be objects that have become human-like. So for example, SpongeBob is a character, and SpongeBob is actually a sponge. He's not a person and he's not an animal. He's a sponge. Okay, so it could be people, it could be animals, or it could be objects that are the characters in the story. So the first thing, we had the parts of the story, the beginning, the middle, the end, and then we have the characters who are the main people in the story, who the story is about. Then the last thing is the setting. Now the setting is, where did the story take place? Where did it happen? What did it look like? Who was there? So how can you describe the setting? And don't spend too much time on telling people about the setting. Just give them some clues about it. So it might be one day on a dark beach with dark, oily sand, there was a large octopus that was slithering over the greenish, slimy rocks. Okay, so you get the idea. So there's that setting that gives a little bit of atmosphere to the story. Now, when you are telling your story, remember to use facial expression, vocal expression. That means your voice. You need to change your voice, especially if you've got different characters. So if you've got an old character, you could maybe speak in a very old voice and change your face to look like an old person. And if you were doing a young person, maybe you would speak in a little voice that's a little bit lighter and the person is a little bit softer. Okay, so you can decide. It could be a grumpy monster, or it could be a scary ghost. Depends on your characters that you've chosen. But you need to change your face and you need to change your voice. And as you change your face and your voice, your body shape changes. I'm sure you noticed when I was doing an old person, I hunched forward. So you're going to use all of those things when you are storytelling to make your story really interesting. So let's just remember again, you need a good beginning, a good middle, a good end, some really interesting characters, and you would describe your setting. Make sure you change your facial expression and change your vocal expression, and that you pay your audience attention. Sometimes you can speak quietly, and sometimes you can speak in a big, loud voice to make your story interesting. Sometimes you can have a pause, and sometimes you can speak rather quickly. But if you're speaking quickly, you must make sure that you speak really clearly, because if your audience can't hear your story, what's the point? So you're going to sit and think about the stories that you are going to be creating. Enjoy.